Good morning, everyone. Hi, my name is Agatha, and I am the Business Advisory Manager at Business Station. Thank you for attending our weekly online business forum. We at Business Station, we are very proud to bring you this session as part of the Australian Small Business Advisory Services Digital Solutions Program, funded by Oz Industry. We know that these are challenging times for small business owners, and we want to be able to provide you with the most up-to-date, best practice advice from our team of experts. Now, today we have 4 experts online with different areas of expertise, and they will give you and us some strategies on how to manage COVID-19 in your business. And we will then have the answers to all your questions that you have delivered to us, also live Q&A. Now, just a bit of housekeeping. The online business forum today will be recorded, and the recording will be shared with you once it is available. Now, when we get to the question time, as I mentioned, the Q&A live, if you have questions for our panelists, please click the chat button available on the bottom, and we will record all your questions as well. Any that cannot be answered today will be sent with you with the recording as part of FAQ. All right, without further ado, I would like to invite our first panelist, Joe Saunders. Joe Saunders is a leading international LinkedIn expert, marketing strategist, and social media educator who's been helping people and small businesses connect and communicate. Take it away, Joe.
Hi there, thanks for having me. So yeah, we're going to be kicking off with a bit of decluttering and what you can do with this time, or and taking control of something you've got control over. I'm just going to share my slides. There we go, just to have a visual point so you're not just looking at me. Yeah, so one of the things we can feel right now is a bit of overwhelm. I mean, overwhelmed by all the amount of information being distributed in addition to everything that's going on. But if you can take control of some of that and use this time effectively to unsubscribe from noisy emails, declutter your social medias and your actual computer and files, and then conduct an audit and find out what gold you've already got sitting in your lap. I'm going to go through a few ways to do that. So if we start with decluttering, so there we go. Whoops, wrong area. Let me just quickly, here we go. So if you start with decluttering your email, and one thing I've noticed right now is the amount of emails I'm getting all about what's going on in the world right now. Now, sometimes it's useful, but I'm finding a lot of marketers are taking this opportunity to, hit you with their emails. Now, like I said, sometimes it's good to reactivate these things, but it's got to be done tastefully. So if you are thinking of marketing right now, do it in a way that's fits your brand and fits your voice, but be really respectful of your audience and where they're at. So if you are being hit by a lot of noise that's irrelevant, use this time to unsubscribe, clean up your inbox, maybe try and aim for inbox 0. One thing I like to do, and I do at the beginning of the year, and now's a good time as things start to, maybe quieten down in your world, is to actually start a new inbox or move everything from your inbox into a different folder, and then make some time to go through it and try and go for that inbox 0 to remove that overwhelm. So that's point 1. So give that a go. Now look at your computer or your cloud storage, wherever your files are, and declutter your files and look for the content that's sitting in there that you haven't used. Now, if you're like me, I get lots of crazy ideas, usually at obscure times, and I get into a bit of a writing sort of phase. And I've got so many half-finished documents. I'm not sure if you guys can relate to this. And they're in, I've actually got a folder called, to review, or, content in progress. Good time to review those and actually work out what have you got right now that you're sitting on that you can put into a system. Now, so on this screen, you can see a bit of an audit document, a content audit. So you can go through that and work out, well, what have you got right now? What type of content is it in? Is it in text form? Is it a video you've created that you could repurpose? Is it an ebook you created that needs an update that could be reused? What's the title? What are the points? What's the theme? Now, by theme, I mean, if you've got sort of 3 areas in your business that you want to be known for, how can you use that to, to sort of categorize your content? Who's the target audience? Where is it useful in the buyer journey? So is it the awareness stage? Is it the decision-making stage, or that in-between consideration stage? is there a call to action in this piece, and where is it actually kept? Is it online already, or is it on your computer? So take stock of what you've got right now, and then maybe add a column to say, if it's already published, can you repurpose it? Can you rework it so it fits your marketing plan? And then put it into a plan. So that's something I definitely would do, and look at all the gold you've got sitting in your content. Because you could start creating new content right now, but you've probably got a lot of stuff that you could rework on. Now, the other one is decluttering your network, and I mean your social networks. So this is a good time to sort of step back and go, are there people in your network that you know, not necessarily, I'm not talking about doing that whole Facebook friends removal that people do from time to time, but I mean, look at your networks, your business networks, and unfollow people. Now, a quick tip with LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is the area of my expertise. You can stay connected to people, but unfollow them. So you use this time to tidy up your home feed so that the information being seen by you is highly relevant, because you want to see the stuff from people you care about. So this little picture behind is just pretty much how LinkedIn works. So you're at the center, you've got your first level connections that you've said yes to, or they've said yes to you when you've connected, and they've got their connections who are your second level, and then their connections are your third level. So the more relevant your network is, your first level network, the more exposure you've got to their networks. So you want to make sure that you're seeing the right people, so you engage with the right people. And I do run webinars and workshops on that. Not face-to-face at the moment, obviously, virtual. So look for those if you need some help. And the other thing, finally, is auditing your LinkedIn profile. Now, and this applies to any social platform that you're using. Look at your Facebook page, look at your Twitter account, look at your, TikTok account, if that needs an audit. I'm not using TikTok yet, not for me. But yeah, your LinkedIn profile is really important because it's highly visible. It's indexed by Google. So if someone searches for your name, your LinkedIn profile may be coming up. And if you haven't touched it for 10 years, this could be a time to give it a bit of an audit, and make sure your photo is up to date. Make sure your headline, that bit of text that sits right under your name, is a positioning statement and says exactly what you do, and you're using all the features. So if you need any help with that, like I said, that's what I specialize in. So if you'd like a copy of the content audit that I mentioned, or even my LinkedIn profile blueprint, I'm very happy to share that with you, just so you can give it a go yourself, something you can do in the downtime. So yeah, feel free to connect to me and get in touch. So that's pretty much me. So I'll just stop sharing that now. And hopefully we're back to now just me.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Joe. That's very helpful. And I think it's a great time at the moment, of course, to declutter. Now I'd like to introduce our next panelist, and his name is Greg Marr. Greg is a director, CPA, and tax agent at Marr Consulting. Greg has extensive taxation and business advisory experience, having worked in different industries. Go ahead, take it away, Greg.
Thanks, Agatha. All right, so today we are going to have a bit of a chat about finance. So lots of people normally put lots of things to do with their finance aside. They normally leave it to the last minute, and most people are rather reactive rather than proactive. But I think now is the time where a few people are going to make some changes. So I've got a saying in the office that most people aim at nothing and they hit it with alarming accuracy. So now is the time to make a plan and make some hard decisions. So over the past couple of weeks, I've been having consults with lots of business owners, and we're making the decision to continue business, transform the business, or close the business. So depending upon your situation, lots of variables, it will lead to different direction where your business is going ahead. So I'll just share my PowerPoint. So we have developed a COVID-19 continuation plan. So 8 bullet points upon which things we need to think of. Is much better at the graphics than I am. I am noble finance, but other people can be working better at the graphics. So cash is king at the moment. If you need cash to pay for things inside your business and feed your family. So trying to do things to make sure that you're retaining as much cash as possible. So speaking to people you owe money to, can you defer payments? Can you do a payment arrangement? So lots of the bigger ones, banks have lots of offerings for business loans and residential loans to see if you can defer that for 6 months. You can have the interest capitalized and you have to pay that back eventually, but it's just deferring it so you can get over the hump. So preserving cash at all costs, start building what we'd call a war chest for your business and for you personally to survive. Next section is government stimulus. So I had the pleasure of reading 300 pages of Parliament notes a couple of nights ago, explaining exactly what this government stimulus, what is going to go to certain business owners. There's a couple that you might have seen in the news. So relating to business owners, there's one which allows you to get back your pay as you go. So if you've got an employee, you pay them 80,000, you withhold 20,000. You can get back the amount that you've withheld for the March and the June quarter, and you can have that again replicated for the June and September quarter. So you can get, if you employ people, a minimum of $20,000 and a maximum of $100,000. This is quite a big incentive, and it's also tax-free, so you don't have to pay any income tax on top of that. They've got some rules in this 300-page document I read talking about things you shouldn't do. So not artificially increasing your wages, not paying yourself a wage when you previously weren't. So they're saying if you try and manipulate the system, then your rebate's going to go down to zero. So they've been very clear saying just continue business as usual and we'll give you the rebate. If you try and do anything dodgy or out of the ordinary, we'll put the rebate down to zero. So please speak to your accountant to make sure you're doing the right thing on that front. The other government stimulus relating to business owners is the instant asset write-off. That's been increased to $150,000. I'm not recommending too many people are investing that amount at the moment. So that kind of goes against my point one of retaining cash. So not many people I'm recommending to be investing in a new asset at the moment. Next step is protection. So more about asset protection. Have you got the right business structure in place? So if you're a company and you've got limited liability protection, do you have outside of your business, say, an enduring power of attorney? Do you have a will? Do you have a life insurance? All these things which you've been putting off till tomorrow. Today is the day which you should be thinking about those things as well. So speaking to a lawyer about having your will done, speaking to a financial planner about making sure your life insurance is up to date. Banks and funding. So lots of banks have been proactive. I know a few clients who have had their line of credit increased or their bank overdraft increased automatically by 10%. If you've got a business loan or a personal mortgage for your house, lots of banks are allowing you a 6-month holiday if you've been feeling some hardship due to COVID-19. All the banks have different rules, so you've got to get onto Google and do a bit of investigation about your bank and contact them. Again, as I said in the beginning, proactive rather than reactive. I'd rather you do it now, even if you don't need it. You might pay a little bit of interest later on, but it'll be best for you. And as you can see, things change quite rapidly. You might think you're okay now, but if things progress further and more businesses are shut down, then you would hopefully have wanted to have done it yesterday rather than in 2 weeks' time. If you're more of a medium-sized business and you've got a management team, so speaking to them, making sure they're aware of all the different rules. Well, how are you guys managing it? How are you managing it with the team? Is there overtime? What are the rules about working from home? So speaking to your management team and making sure everybody's on the same page, because as everyone knows in the media, there's so much information and lots of it isn't clear. So hopefully you can speak to your management team and work together for a clear message to your employees, your suppliers, your customers, so that everyone knows and can rely upon what you're doing moving forward. Speaking openly with your employees, so this might be having to let them go. So even proactively saying, we think our business is going to get shut in the next round of shutdowns, we might be letting you go, so that they are aware. Maybe they need to reduce hours, maybe they need to work from home. So maybe just keeping them all in the loop. Nothing worse than being surprised with your income going down. So if you've got a bit of a premonition as to what you think might happen with your business in the future, just keeping your employees in the loop is good. As Joe was saying, my inbox also has been flooded with messages from all the different things I subscribe to and buy from about what they're doing for COVID-19. Even businesses who don't really need to communicate anything with me about this front. I think maybe a short, sharp message to let people know you're closed or you're still around is all you need. Some of these messages I've received have been well over the top and a bit too much. So just clear and concise. We're still open, or we're still open and we're modified. Just letting people know, clear communication. Last one is mental health. So running a business is pretty tough at the best of times. So it's important that you are looking after yourself and your employees. So having a chat to other business owners or professionals if you need further assistance is highly recommended. So that's it from me. We've got this plan that we're working through with our existing clients, and if you want to step through this plan that we've got it in PDF. It's about 12 pages long, and we can work through it with different clients in an hour. So if you want to book a consult, please feel free to do so later this afternoon. Back to you, Agatha. Thanks.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I like that, short and concise. I think that's what we need now during this time. Now we'll pass it on to Crystal Diverti. Crystal is the founder of Crystal Clear Solutions. She is the organization queen, and she's approaching system and processes with passion. I think that's very important within this COVID-19 time. Go ahead, Crystal.
Thank you, Agatha. I'm going to be chatting about putting a coronavirus management plan into place, which kind of takes what Greg is talking about just for finance and putting that into place for your whole entire business. And really, the reason that we're doing that is because the key to survival in the threat of this outbreak is planning. So people must be informed, employers must be informative and upfront about emerging issues that are going to be happening, and that allows us to prevent the alarm spreading. We want to make sure that people's concerns are being alleviated and emergency planning can be treated appropriately if that happens to become the need. And having a coronavirus management plan allows you to do all of that. So the top things that you should be including, let me share my screen. Top things that you should be including in your coronavirus management plan: identifying high risk areas, reducing the impact, developing your contingency plans, keeping your workers safe, and communicating with your workers. So what do each of those areas look like? When you're identifying the high risk areas, they're not areas where the risk of contracting the virus is higher, but the areas of your business which will be more heavily impacted by the outbreak. So things like identifying critical business processes and ranking them in order of importance.
Sorry, Crystal. We're having a bit of a technical issue here with Crystal, I think. Crystal, are you there?
Are you there? Hello?
Yeah. All right, just yes. Okay, go ahead.
Where did you get up to?
Well, it's only 10 seconds. You're good.
Perfect. Okay. So I was just basically listing the areas that you need to identify that are high risk to your business. So other things similar to what both Joe and Greg were talking about, identifying your interdependencies that you might have on others. So your suppliers, your distributors, your service providers, your contractors, all of those types of things. And also probably really important if you've got visitors coming to your business, which probably shouldn't be happening considering we're all meant to be working from home at the moment. But if you do, putting some sort of policy into place to make sure that everything's still running as it needs to be and everyone's staying safe. So then reducing the impact. Now that you know where the risks are to your business, you just want to start putting things into place to reduce them and control them as much as possible. So also running different scenarios based on what the government is currently mandating and maybe what other countries are looking at putting into place, and put controls or have controls ready that you can put into place really quickly and easily without much thought going into it. You basically want to be more prepared and proactive than unprepared and reactive. Developing contingency plans. You want to plan for the situations where you might lose up to half of your workers due to the infection or exposure at the peak of the coronavirus outbreak. And preparing for a second and third wave of absenteeism. Most cases, we all know now that people are going to be absent for about 14 days once they've been exposed and confirmed positive. So contingency plans may be things like training workers in alternative roles, making arrangements for staff to work from home if they're not already doing that, arranging alternative suppliers and stockpiling your essentials for the business, developing your standard operating procedures so everyone knows exactly what they're meant to be doing and when, and capturing and storing all the critical information so that you can access it if you do all need to be working from home. So the fourth number, keeping our workers safe, probably one of the most important things, educating them on personal hygiene and social distancing, educating them on the signs and symptoms of the virus, educating them on how to avoid transmitting all of that. And a lot of this information is already out there. So just making sure that your workers understand all of that. On top of that, knowing your obligations and rights as an employer, and then educating your workers on their obligations and rights as an employee. There's a lot of questions going around. What am I allowed to or not allowed to be doing at this point in time? And then the last most critical point in any management plan, communication is key. In this time, it's unknown for everybody. So the more that you can communicate openly and honestly with yourself, with your management team, with your workers, the more they're going to feel safe. So you can do things like set up daily huddles, check in with them one-on-one, or have their managers check in with them one-on-one if you see someone might be struggling a little bit more. Setting up additional ways for the team to communicate. If you're on Microsoft, it's Teams, Google Hangouts, Slack, Zoom, Skype, Facebook Messages. There's so many platforms for us to connect and communicate these days. You just need to get on them. And even having daily coffee chats. I've seen that happening and it's working really well. Trying to continue our normal business, even though we're not in front of each other. And all of those things are going to help you to prepare for what is surely to start getting worse before it actually gets better. And that's all I've got. Thanks,
Crystal. That's fantastic. I think you put it down very clear there, step by step. Now I'll move on to Bree Curley. Bree is the owner of a social media marketing business, Bree Designs, and with extensive social media marketing and website experience. And take it away, Bree. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, great, yes.
Okay, hi guys, my name is Bree. As you said, I own a Instagram marketing business. Before I start my presentation, I kind of want to get a feel for who I'm talking to. So in the chat box, if you are a small business owner with an Instagram account, could you put a yes in the chat box for me? Okay, cool, we've got a few. That's awesome. Okay. Great. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. All right. So we've got a few people, which is awesome. So I am just going to present. Okay. So how do we use Instagram during this time and how do we even grow it? So a lot of the other advisors have talked about how to, I guess, control and, take the right steps. For me, it's about how do we innovate during this time? What are the opportunities that exist? So I'm going to break down 3 tips about what you can do during this time. My first tip is to Coronavate, which just means to innovate during Corona. So as a business owner, and if you have an Instagram account, think about what are the opportunities that exist right now and how can you add value online. We don't know how long this virus is going to be around for. We don't know the effects of it, of how it's going to affect our business. We don't know how long it's going to affect it for. So right now is a really great time to remain having a presence and adding value. We might not necessarily sell online right now, but we can still add value for when it does pick up again and business is going good. So now is the time to show up, especially because there are a lot of people that, aren't feeling that great right now. So it's a great time to show up, be positive, and lead by example. So I'm going to show you some examples of people that are in the industry, Instagram industry, that are showing up every single day. This is an example of a guy called Jay Shetty. He's doing live meditations on Instagram every day. It's a free value add that anyone that, is into meditation, they can participate. Another example is David Goggins. He's doing live workouts on his Instagram. That's another great example. If you're in the fitness industry, you don't need 2.5 million followers to allow you to do this. Like, you can start even if you have 100 followers. It is just a great way to be innovative. The next question to ask ourselves is, what do people need right now? If you don't know what people need right now, then just ask them. So on my Instagram account, I asked on my stories, I said, what do you need right now? And these are some of the answers that people told me. So some examples is, I want, a coronavirus vaccine, the right approach with DMs, growing your account, inspiration, motivation. So there is a lot of needs of what small business owners are looking for right now. And so if you don't know what people need, just ask them on your Instagram. And one of my, methodologies that I'm thinking right now is that people will remember you how you act during the drought. So right now we're in a drought period, and people will remember how you act. If you completely disappear, or you have maybe a bit of a negative mindset, or something's bringing you down, and you're a business owner, people are going to remember that. So it's a really great time to show up with a really positive mindset and help other people get through this period of time. My second tip is to just keep posting on Instagram, even if you choose to pause or close your business. Because, if you pause your business, if you close, maybe not, but if you pause your business, you want to make sure that you have momentum coming out of it. So just keep your audience updated with what's going on. Here's some examples of people that are still posting and kind of using the coronavirus and still marketing themselves. So this is a guy, his name's G'day Friend. He's got an awesome Instagram. And his post was just saying, hey, we're business as usual. You can still book me. I'm still good to go. I'm not closing up. Another example of another account is Preview App. They're educating right now. So they're educating what you can do as a business and what the opportunities that exist. Another account, it's educating. So they're a business about money. So they're walking through their customers and clients, talking about how do we talk about money in times like these. And this is Wim Hof. So he's a pretty well-known person, and he's just created a video with his take about how he's dealing with it. And so I 100% recommend showing up with your unique business and showing up and talking about how to navigate the COVID. So ideas of what to post. I recommend doing potentially like a 10-part series. So you're doing 10 different posts, one post, every 2 days, 3 days, once a week, whatever your rhythm is, and educate. So for example, you could do 10 strategies to market your business during COVID, 10 isolation ideas when staying at home, 10 ways to ... 10 meditation techniques, 10 government grants you can access during this time. Whatever it is, just think about how can I add value to my followers, customers, audience, etc., etc. And my last tip is to stay closely connected with the people in your community, because people don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care about them. And so here are some reasons why you want to stay closely connected with your audience is because, one, we're forced into social distance. So now people are feeling very disconnected in a connected world. people are doing it tough, people aren't feeling great, people are losing their jobs. And so being, as a business owner, being that beacon that way you can reach out to other people and just see how they're going, keeping relationships going. Because when you come out of this time, they're more likely to pay attention to what you've done because you've helped them out previously. Some examples, people are creating Facebook accounts to help. This is an example of a freelancer's guide to self-isolation. And this guy, every single day, he's giving a tip. So today's tip is to upskill. I know Dante's on the call today, and he's created this group called Doing Business Differently in the NT, which is an awesome group, and he's sharing, you know, support that's available for sole traders. So that's another example. And then another example, this is me. Yesterday, I put on my Instagram stories, I just wanted to know, how are you feeling right now? And I put a little emoji slider at the bottom, not so good, good. 36 people answered, and there were a lot of people that said 1 out of 10 or 5 out of 10. And so I reached out to them, sent them a message, and just started that communication to help them get through that time. And so those are my 3 tips for Instagram marketing. Thanks so much.
Fantastic. I love the Coronavate. We should get that hashtag. Yeah. Coronavate. Thank you for that. So I'm going to pass this on to Rebecca now, who will facilitate our Q&As. I think we have some Q&As ready to go. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Hi everyone. So we've been collecting questions and we've been collecting questions, and I'm going to get the answers for you from our 4 panelists. So we will kick off with the first question. So let's put this one to Joe, I think. So the question is, I normally meet people face to face, but currently I'm running the meetings via Zoom.
Sorry, just to interrupt quickly, Rebecca. Sorry, Bree, could you stop sharing your screen, please, so everyone can see the panelists? Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. So we'll start again. Joe, I normally meet people face to face, but right now I'm trying to run my meetings via Zoom. However, I'm finding that customers are reluctant to switch to Zoom meetings, and so I've seen a huge drop off in clients recently. Do you have any strategies that I can use to encourage my clients to receive my services and meetings via Zoom?
Yeah, great question. And I think some people are technologically challenged because Zoom, while it's easy for all of us to use, because I've been using Zoom for years, we've got to take into account that it's not necessarily the easiest thing. So if people are reluctant to using Zoom, for instance, have a look at, maybe ask them, how do they prefer to communicate? What tools are they already using that they're comfortable with? You know, maybe it's Skype. I mean, alternative, very similar. Maybe it's via email, messaging, maybe social media, one of the platforms. But it's coming back to how, you know, and maybe it's good old phone. I mean, in this time, we're very digitally connected, but the good old phone works a treat, particularly if you've got that sort of non-tech client. So, yeah. But maybe the reason they're not sort of engaging is maybe they're in that fear zone. They don't want to spend money. So I guess it comes down to what's the trigger behind it, and then look at the technology, and then how they can help and come to some sort of arrangement. But start that discussion and pick up the phone. That's probably your best bet. Take it off email, go phone. That's just my tip.
That's great. Thanks, Joe. Greg, this one is most definitely for you. It's a little bit wordy, so bear with me here.
Yep.
I'm confused about PAYGW. One line of a government statement says to be eligible for the minimum payment, you need to have withheld tax. But another line says if you don't need to withhold tax because employees are below the threshold, I presume, then the business is still eligible. Can you please clarify, A, if an IAS rather than BAS is required to be eligible? And B, given a simple BAS has no W1 field, how can we tell if we're eligible for cash flow assistance?
So IAS is still eligible. In the IAS, you report your wages of your employee, even if you don't withhold tax. The ATO has indicated that if you don't withhold tax, but you still pay wages, then you are eligible for the relief. Again, this is the proviso that you haven't been paying wages for 9 months, and then you all of a sudden start paying wages. So if you've been paying wages all along and you continue to do that, even if you've just got a casual employee, they don't have any tax to be withheld, then they've indicated that you are going to be eligible for the minimum support. So you would get a $10,000 credit on your March BAS, $5,000 credit on your June BAS, $5,000 credit on your September BAS. But it is wordy, you're right. Good thing you didn't have to read that 300-page document. If anyone wants it, I'll send them the link.
Thanks for taking one for the team and reading that 300 document, Greg. I definitely appreciate that. So we've got a question that's come in from Nikki, and we'll put this one to Bree. Hi, I'm a sole trader and sell vegan ice cream. All of my customers buy face-to-face from my van. Working from home doesn't work for me. So how do I engage my followers and keep my business in their mind?
Unmute. Hi, Nikki, that is a fantastic question. So if there's no possibility of being able to sell online, how do you engage with your followers? Always educate. Educate is such a fantastic way to add value to your audience. So what can you educate them about your ice cream? It's vegan. What are the ingredients? How do you make it? Who is behind the business? Just start thinking about ways to educate people. And that will be a really great way you can add value.
Thanks, Bree. We've got a few more questions that have come in. So Teresa would like to know, what about a business like a yoga studio? Where do you need to see the teacher, or where you need to see the teacher online in order to participate? How can you engage those kind of customers?
I'm trying to understand the question. So is it a business like yoga where you need to see the teacher online?
I think I can add on that, because I think what it is if they want to start, I guess, providing an online yoga teaching studio online, as opposed to, say, they probably in the past has been doing it more face-to-face.
Yeah, so Teresa, are you a teacher yourself, or you need a teacher to be able to host a yoga class?
You know what, we probably take this one offline, because I think this is a bigger conversation. I do know Teresa personally, so I'll connect the two of you, and I'll connect Teresa with some of our advisors as well in setting this up. Thanks.
Thanks for that. So we will, any connections or any questions that can't be answered live, we will take them offline and get the relevant answers for you, or connect you with a relevant advisor. So we've got a couple more pay-as-you-go questions, Greg. How does the pay-as-you-go relief come back to us? Is it directly to a bank account?
So there's a credit on your BAS. So it depends if you make sales and you've got GST to pay to the government. It all depends on that. So if you still have GST to pay, then you're going to have to pay that. It just means you won't have to pay your pay-as-you-go. So if your BAS after this rebate is still a payable, you'll have to pay it to the government. If the rebate for the pay-as-you-go leads you to be a refund, yes, it will be paid direct to your bank account. So generally they've indicated at the due date lodgement, so 28th of April is the indicated date for the first BAS.
Thanks, Greg. Crystal, I might throw this one to you. It's one that we received offline. So what tools would you recommend for organising my time and projects while I'm working from home?
Ooh, I love this one. ClickUp all the way. So there's a lot of programs that you can use. One is Asana. Generally speaking, Asana is for more logical thinkers, so it's a lot more list-based. The second one is Trello, which is for more creative thinkers. The way that it's set out is very creative. Logical thinkers don't like it in any way, shape or form. ClickUp is Asana plus Trello combined, and add some steroids on top. It allows you to do everything you can in Asana and everything you can in Trello, and have multiple different users looking at multiple different views based on how they like to think and process. They do have a free version. It's super easy to use. There's dependencies. I love it. I recommend it to everybody. If you're not on it yet, or you're on Asana or Trello, look at ClickUp. You'll never go back.
I think Clicker should pay you, Crystal. Ambassador of Clicker.
Yeah.
So we've got another question here for Bree. It's come from Suze. She is a producer and she has created a transmedia parenting brand where she hoped she would support her parents by producing shows. So that's filming presenters and contributors. As she's unable to do this, she would like to engage with her audience directly. So that means that she is going to have to do the presenting herself. What are your top tips for a non-presenter to be able to present themselves on a video?
Yeah, great question, Suze. I was in the exact same boat as you. I was never typically a confident speaker online. So it does take time. But secondly, start with Instagram stories, because on Instagram stories, it's not a live format. So on Instagram stories, if you don't like the video, you can record again. So it's really, you just keep going till you like it, add captions on your stories, and you'll start to feel more confident the more you do it. As one more tip on your stories is to add a "was this helpful" with a poll yes or no at the end of it, because you'll get that instant feedback whether your audience likes it or not.
Cool, that's a great tip. Thank you.
Can I add to that?
Yeah, please.
I was just going to say, I've been doing a lot of webinars and workshops and speaking and training for years now, but getting on camera was a bit challenging. So I took up Facebook Live and just started sharing those initially, and that got me confident at, because you're speaking to an audience that you can't see. So that's another way to do it. And here's a tip: if you're a little bit nervous, if you go Facebook Live on your profile, or whether it's your page, but on your profile you can actually say "audience just me." So you can kind of, if you're not quite brave enough to step right out, just step out a little bit. And then if it went really well, change the visibility to everybody and then share it to your page and then go from there.
Thanks, Jo. I've got another question for you. It's specifically about LinkedIn and it's come in offline. So over the last week, my LinkedIn content has all been about COVID-19 and how my company has been responding and making changes to our service delivery. Going forward, should my content just go back to being about products and services, or do you have any other ideas at the moment about what we might be able to post?
Okay, so if you're talking from a company perspective, so on a company page, you're obviously going to be talking a lot about what's going on right now. But I would still, as Bree said, still keep your normal content in there that's appropriate. So education, I completely agree. If you can educate your audience, because I sort of believe you've got three types of content. You've got educational content that empowers or inspires, and then you've got entertaining content. So if you can put that in between, obviously the entertaining is going to be a bit challenging unless you can have a fun take on it. And I think now more than ever, we actually need a bit of entertainment, a bit of lightness to it. So I would definitely not switch from one to the other. So I have a bit of both, but if you can educate throughout this whole period and keep going afterwards, I think you'll connect better to your audience, and then your network will start engaging. And another side tip, if you're sharing from a company page, make sure that the team are engaging individually, because that way it's spreading the message outwards through the network, and encourage other people to engage.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jo. A couple more questions that we've got on the Q&A. Greg, this one's another one for you.
Yep.
Is there currently any financial assistance for sole traders?
Not really. Sole traders have been left in the lurch as such. So different discussions depending upon how dire your situation is. The government has allowed you to access some superannuation early. So I've added a link to my blog where I've outlined all the different tax things I've been talking about today. So if you want to go and have a look, there's more detail there. But if you've lost a significant amount of business, you can draw down $10,000 from your super before 30 June and $10,000 of super after 30 June. So this could mean that can go towards your private expenses, put the business in hiatus. When things get better again, you can take it back out. The second thing is the job seeker payment. So generally you have to be unemployed to get this payment, but they've extended the definition to include some sole traders who experienced hardship through this. So this is very, very new, and as with all new things with our friends from the tax office and the government, sometimes it takes a while to sort out the fine print. So on the blog we talk a bit about your trade going down, how you can prove it, so you can still hopefully run your business in a reduced capacity and receive some of these job seeker payments from the tax office, from Centrelink at the same time. But apart from that, no, sole traders have been left in the lurch a bit. And hopefully the third stimulus package, which might come out early next week, might be something for sole traders there, but your guess is as good as mine at this stage.
Thanks for that, Greg. We've got a question that's come in from Yvonne, and I might put this out to anyone who wants to answer this, because I think all of you might be able to add some pretty relevant insights here. So I'll just read the question. Hi, we are an accommodation and cafe business in remote far north Queensland, which is very seasonal due to the climate. Our tourism season runs from April to around October in a good year. Therefore, as we look to a longer shutdown in business and then coming out into the seasonal off time, we are looking at a possible 12 months before we can really trade meaningfully. Do you have any strategies for this longer impact, or any suggestions on planning to manage this period of time? So anyone who wants...
I'll go first.
Yeah.
This is a really great time to put systems and processes and digital software in place. A lot of the time, business owners are always really busy responding to clients, making sure their staff have what they need. And so systems and processes really take a back end in when business is running as normal. So if you've got the time and space and the brain capacity to then sit down and brainstorm what's working, what's not working, let's put some standard operating procedures into place. That will, when you start functioning again, affect your efficiency and effectiveness with your staff, and you'll probably find it will also affect your profit.
Thanks, Crystal. Do any of our other panelists have anything to add on that one? Joe?
Yeah,
Sorry,
Go,
Greg,
Greg.
we'll come to you next.
I've seen some businesses do things to help cash flow in the short term. It's not the world's best thing for the long term, but you've got to do the best you can in the current situation. So some businesses are selling effectively investment bonds. So it's a value of $100 of our services, but you can pay $80 for it now. But in 12 months when we're back up and running, you can get a great deal. So it helps you cash flow now. It'll get you through those lean times, and you can, make sales into the future. So making it far enough into the future so people are confident that they will be able to do it. So not next week, next month, but if you're talking 12 months until money's kicking off, then say pre-book for 12 to 24 months in advance, give them a bit of a discount, gives you the cash flow to help you through these more difficult times, would be my suggestion.
Thanks, Greg. And Joe, you had something to add as well.
I just wanted to reiterate what we pretty much said is keeping your social media going, build that presence. I mean, you're not going to go obviously promoting what, your accommodation and services right now, but be top of mind. So, and build it as you get closer to reopening, start building up a little bit more. But just for now, just, keep putting some stuff out there.
Thanks, Joe.
One more thing.
Sorry, Bree, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Joe, is just continue to have that active presence, whether it's once a week or once a fortnight, posting something that's entertaining, educational or empowering. I also think about who can you collaborate right now that is probably going through the same thing as you, that won't be able to open for another 12 months. How can you work together and, create something? I don't have an answer for that, but think about how you can innovate during this time.
Brilliant, thank you. We've got another specific question for you, Greg. It comes from Nikki, and she asks, you say we will get a credit on our ASBAS. Does it mean that the money will magically appear in our account, in our bank account in April, or do we need to actively do something to get that credit?
You don't need to actively do anything except lodge your BAS as you normally do in a timely manner. So if you do that, then you'll get the credit for your pay as you go. If you are going to get a refund from your GST, you'll get a refund. Otherwise, you'll still just have to pay your GST as normal. ATO is being a bit more lenient if you can't pay your tax debts at the moment. So you can either negotiate with them directly, or you can get your accountant to negotiate on your behalf. So one of the things the ATO has been doing all along, which lots of people don't know about, is if you've got a good payment and a good lodgement history, you can ask the ATO to enter into a 12-month payment arrangement where you can pay it in 12 equal monthly installments with no interest. So I will find that link and I will put it in the chat for everyone now.
Thanks, Greg. I've got a good one here. I'm going to jump to John's question to give Greg a bit of a break while he finds that. So from John Byrne, he asks, my customers are purchasing offices on mine sites in Australia, PNG and Indonesia. I bought it a year ago and the business has never had any social media presence other than a website and emails. We can't know the ages or styles or of the purchasing officers. So I guess that's saying they don't really have much of an understanding of their audience yet. And they don't have the time or the knowledge to start a lot of platforms. So what social media platforms should they start with?
I'm happy to jump in.
Yeah.
Well, seems pretty obvious to me. LinkedIn's probably a best place to start, because if you're dealing with individuals and you know their names, then you can find them and start building a network. So that would be a good place to start. Building your presence, so you're actually found in Google as well, like I said, because that'll start ranking. And then having the team interact with each other. Like, you don't have to share a lot of content on LinkedIn either. Content on LinkedIn is obviously, a good part of it, but it's the engagement with other people where the power is. And I've got a bit of a formula that I share with people. For every piece of content you share, engage with at least 9 other people, so that you're building that network, because comments are actually content. So you can start building relationships with the people who are the decision makers and staying top of mind. Now, the only challenge in this is if those people aren't on LinkedIn or aren't active on LinkedIn, then then you need to look at other platforms. But if you know the people or the roles, you can, if you learn to search on LinkedIn, you can find people in those roles, particularly people that you're not in your customer base yet. So you can start growing that network so that you can turn it on. And I'm sure the others have got some other additions to other social media platforms.
Bree, did you want to add anything? Or Crystal, it looks like you do.
You go, Crystal.
Yeah, I was just going to back up what Joe was saying, is that you're in a professional sense and you're wanting to, communicate and connect with them in a professional sense. LinkedIn's your place to go. It's your professional social media platform.
Yeah, I'll just add, I don't necessarily see Instagram as a fit. So LinkedIn seems like the best option.
Perfect, thank you. Crystal, I think this one might be good for you as well. It comes from Jackie and Patricia. We are an event company and we have an event planned for October. Exhibitors are not wanting to book now. They want to wait and see what's happening. What would you recommend? Should we postpone or should we keep planning for October?
Well, considering my whole chat was about planning, I think that you would still in the background continue that planning process, so that you don't get to September and go, oh my God, we've got an event next month, and not have anything in place. You can still be putting those plans into place and then still connect with all your suppliers and the people that you want to be showcasing at the event, because you never know, they might all of a sudden find they've got the time and want to put that time and effort into it. And if you do end up postponing it, then all of that hard work's not gone, am I allowed to swear? It's not gone to shit. It's still there. You're still going to utilize all of it, just, in November or December or whenever you decide to put it on. And in terms of the planning, I would also plan for different scenarios over the next kind of 6 months, so that you have triggers to go out to your suppliers, to the people at the event, saying, if this happens, then we will do X, or we, at this point, we will postpone it and it will get postponed by this amount of time, so that your suppliers and event attendants can, just keep up with that and know that it is going to happen, because events are important. They're needed. It's just a matter of when they're going to be able to happen again.
Brilliant. Thanks, Crystal. Greg, I've got one last question for you, and then I will throw it open to everyone to give their summary.
Yep.
But also from Jackie and Patricia, has anyone got any advice regarding credit card interest?
I read somewhere they were talking about that they will stop your credit card payments for 6 months, but if you do that, you can't use your credit card anymore. So getting some relief from the interest might not be the best course of action if you are in business. I think not still using your credit card, but getting one of these payment arrangements from the tax office, which is interest free. And depending upon the size of your business, this could be thousands of dollars. So deferring that payment for 12 months interest free would be my first port of call, because it's likely to be achieved. ATO is being friendly at the moment, and it's 0% interest, so you can't beat that.
Brilliant, thank you. Thank you to everybody who has submitted their questions. It's been a really engaging business forum. So I'll just put it to our panelists for a quick, 1 to 2 minute wrap up on what they've talked about today and any kind of other tips that they can bring from their topic for the small business owners that we have online. So Jo, can we start with you?
Yeah, sure. So I guess have a look at for me, I'm really busy right now. I don't really have any downtime yet, but I know it's coming. So look at your calendar, schedule some time in to sit down and take stock of your content, look at what you've got, put some time to actually creating that content so that you can schedule it or post it live, whatever however you work in. But don't stop marketing. Don't let fear halt you, and stay connected to people. As I think Bree said, that community is really important right now. So finding groups where you can find that support and connection, or building your own community so that you stay of service and in value. And just finally, and I know things are tight for some people, but this program is pretty awesome. It gives you access to so many experts. I've learned a lot today from the other experts as well, things that I need to think about, including, some of the particularly finance stuff. But take advantage of what's on offer and these forums that are free, which is brilliant. So Agatha and team, well done, brilliant stuff. But yeah, take time to learn Zoom too. Give it a go. And if you're not sure, get someone to practice with you. Find a friend and just give it a go and practice, because you can't break it, Yes.
Thanks for that, Jo. Crystal?
Probably just following on with what I responded before, in that now you've got the time and space to implement systems and processes and audit what you've got in your business and what's working and what's not working. Just make sure that you're communicating that with your staff who are still being actively involved with the business, and get them involved with it. They then have the accountability for implementing and changing things within your business. And when you're functioning again at 100%, they're going to be championing it. So put them in place.
Brilliant. Thanks, Crystal. Bree, can we go to you now, please?
Yeah, I just want to say now is a really great time to innovate. It's a great time to step up your marketing and separate yourself from the crowd. A lot of people are going to pause and stop. So it's a great time for you to show up. If you do have any questions about your individual business, feel free to just send your questions to my Instagram, Bree Designs, or obviously get in contact with Business Station.
Thanks, Bree. And last but not least, Greg.
Thanks. Lastly, I would probably say everyone should do a cash flow forecast. So having a look at cash that's coming in and coming out, I would do an analysis on your business to see if business stops to zero and you have no sales, what are your ongoing costs that you need to cover? So if you think we might have a lockdown for 3 months, what are your ongoing costs for 3 months? Can you hold on for 3 months to get the business back up and running? So doing that today, better than any day, I think you've got to make a start now. So that's really important, making a plan, speaking to your accountant to get some more personalised advice about some of these benefits that could apply to your circumstances, I think is really important.
Brilliant, thank you. And
thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate it. First of all, I'd like to thank all our wonderful advisors for joining us today and taking the time out of your busy schedule. I'm sure, this is a feedback from everyone. This online business forum is very important, and you guys definitely added value to small businesses. Now, Business Station, through ASBAS Digital Solutions, we're trying our best to definitely deliver more services like this. So we're also launching series of online classrooms. Online classrooms, this is going to be an intimate online meeting where your participation is interactive, it's going to be low cost, and it's going to be hands-on and directly applicable to your business. So not just learning through a webinar, but it's actually online that you get to know each other, other small businesses in that classroom. So keep an eye out we will communicate more on this series of online classrooms. And I also like to thank you, Rebecca, for facilitating the Q&A. That was always fantastic. I'll see you next week. We'll talk to you more, and stay safe and be kind to each other. Have a great one.
Thanks, everyone.